Welcome to our summer mini-series all about camping. In these bonus episodes, we're going beyond the standard tent and campsite setup. From bikepacking and rafting to camping with kids and dispersed car camping. Over the next 4 weeks, we're talking to people who are camping their own way, sharing what works, what doesn't, and how you can try it too. I'm Shelby Stanger, and this is Wild Ideas Worth Living, an REI Co-op Studios production presented by Capital One and the REI Co-op MasterCard. Today we're plunging into the world of water-based camping, whether that's traveling by canoe, kayak, stand-up paddleboard, or raft. Cruising along waterways can be a great way to rest your legs, take the weight off your back, and slow down. Plus, you get to pick the pace. You can amp things up by paddling down rapids, or keep it calm by skimming across serene lakes. Best of all, traveling by water gives you freedom to explore, accessing hidden coves, secret waterfalls, and quiet beaches that most campers will never see. When you're ready to settle down for the night, you'll have the sound of flowing water to lull you to sleep. To introduce us to water-based adventures, we're talking to Mac and Owen, the founders of Bound for Nowhere, which is a popular adventure blog, social media community, and storytelling brand. For the last 9 years, Mac and Owen have lived in a truck camper, driving across the country and spending as much time in nature as possible. When it comes to the water, Mac and Owen are primarily pack rafters, which means they hike into harder to access waterways with a portable inflatable boat in their backpack. Once they arrive at their put-in, they inflate their rafts, transfer gear from their packs to the boat, and paddle along for days at a time. With countless river miles under their belt, Mac and Owen are here to share their insights on gear selection, safety, and how to plan your perfect day on the water. Mac and Owen, welcome to Wild Ideas Worth Living. I'm so excited to have some really interesting pack rafting people on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I love a good adventure love story. How did you two meet?
We were on the swim team in college together, and we just had a mutual affection for being outside, doing interesting things, and a healthy dose of competitive nature between the two of us. And I think that something about my relationship with Owen is that from the beginning, we haven't been gift givers. We're experience givers instead. And so instead of prioritizing giving each other something, we always try to go give each other a really great experience. And it was like that from the first date. And so I think that the best way to put it is that has escalated into what our life is now. And that is 9 years of full-time travel. And that is camping because we live in a truck.
You guys have made camping and exploring your entire life and your whole career. How did you guys become expert campers, especially campers that travel by water, like pack rafting?
I think that we have become experts by sheer practice. We have now 9 years of experience with different forms of camping. And I think that you get better at things by also failing at them and failing quite miserably. And I can speak to many, many nights where we went out to go camp. We're like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. This is going to be rad. And then it ends up being a miserable failure. Some of the coldest nights of my life, nights where we zipped our sleeping bags together, huddled together for warmth, and we still ended up just leaving at 4 a.m. because we were so cold that we were just like, I just need to start walking or else I will die out here. So you have to make mistakes. And I think it's also being willing to make mistakes, learn from them, and then also continue to feel intrigued to come out and try again, but also to try different things, which is ultimately, I think, how we got into pack rafting, was just realizing that there was another way that we could do this and wanting to explore a new type of terrain.
What is pack rafting?
So pack rafting is kind of taking the idea of canoe and water travel, but having the ability to get your boat into remote places. So a pack raft is literally a boat that can be packed in with you.
Are these foldable kayak things I saw in Big Bear? Like,
Okay, so there are foldable the industry has come a long way, thankfully. So my family had a pack raft growing up, and it came in this huge duffel bag. It took up the whole back seat of the minivan. But pack rafts now today, there's foldable varieties, there's inflatable kind. I just think that it's really cool to see the innovations that have come of the industry, because it's now allowing people to access different waterways, different types of water. And I think that ultimately the type of boat that you take is going to be dictated by the type of water that you're wanting to access.
tell me why you'd use a pack raft.
Okay, I'm going to preface this. A lot of the type of fun that we like to do requires a fair bit of suffering, but that's like a part of the fun, type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun.
We're all about it. So one of these trips that we did was a grueling 20-mile hike in, but then it was 7 days of just floating out of this river system on the water. So it was a really challenging hike in, but then it gave us the ability to explore this entire river. And it was just so fun because we were able to be like, oh, this looks like an incredible fishing spot. We'll just pull over, throw a couple of casts in the water, keep going. Or this looks like a great spot to camp.
How much do these boats weigh? Like, how much stuff are you carrying?
It all depends on the type of trip that you're trying to take. How you are getting there will also kind of dictate how much weight you can take and how much the boats physically weigh. Our boats weigh about 7.5 pounds. And I know that they can go all the way up to being, 20, 30 pound, but there's also even lighter boats that are super featherweight. And they can even, some of them even pack down to be the size of a roll of paper towels, so to speak.
Amazing. Tell me about the other gear that comes with the boat.
Right. So you want to have like a life jacket, and helmet, things like that, depending if you're going on whitewater. So it adds up a little bit more when you add some of the extra pieces of gear. We have these paddles that break up into 4 pieces, and so we'll just shove them in our backpack.
And they're carbon fibers, so they weigh like practically nothing. And then you're going to need rope or some form of device for rescuing fellow paddlers for general safety equipment. Dry bags are always necessary. A lot of these pack rafts are air inflatable, so you also want a repair kit.
One thing we haven't mentioned yet is that what's unique about these pack rafts is that you throw your gear inside the tubes of the pack raft itself.
Inside the boat.
So they're sitting inside it. So you unzip the entire thing, throw your gear in, and then you zip it closed and then inflate it. So it really becomes like backpacking, but in the water, and your boat's carrying it all.
And then you're also wanting to make sure that you can keep your boat relatively balanced, because that balance is going to be important because it's going to help you with maneuverability and all of that. Because if your boat is off balance, it can be really unwieldy in the water, and that can be pretty unsafe. You obviously need to have your full standard camping gear, but again, it all has to fit. We typically go with like a lightweight backpacking setup, but you are afforded a little bit of extra luxuries.
What's the most important piece of equipment, a must-have?
I mean, if we're being safe, the PFD is definitely the most important.
A PFD, or a personal flotation device, is like a life jacket that you wear, and it's almost like a triangle of foam in the front and in the back. Ours have really handy pockets in the front. I keep my cell phone in there, so it's easy to grab if we pass any wildlife or just want to grab a video. And it's also nice for keeping like a little bit of sunscreen or chapstick in. And then it also has a really convenient hook for the PFD knife.
Tell me about some of your early mistakes.
Early mistakes. I feel like I am afraid to admit this out loud. Sorry, Mom, if you hear this. We definitely have gone on trips without life jackets, like fully forgotten life jackets. And that's a no-no. We got pulled over by the National Park Service police on boat because we didn't have life jackets. And then they gave us these really awful, ugly orange ones, which were like, our cone of shame, so to speak. It was an honest mistake. We just forgot them, but don't do that.
Summer is officially here, and I don't know about you, but I'm prepping my gear for some epic weekend camping trips and early morning surf sessions. Whether you're headed to the mountains or just chilling by the coast, REI has all your essentials. And when you shop with your REI Co-op MasterCard, you'll earn card rewards on every purchase, even sale items. Use your card to purchase all of the gear you need for a summer of limitless possibilities. See if you're pre-approved for the REI Co-op MasterCard with no risk to your credit score. To learn more about the REI Co-op MasterCard program, go to rei.com/MasterCard-podcast. That's rei.com/MasterCard-podcast. Terms apply. What are some things to take into account when planning for a pack rafting trip?
You always are wanting to understand how many days you're wanting to travel for, work backwards to figure out how much food.
I think the other big thing too is that if you're traveling on river, you're going from one point to another. So you kind of have to have your shuttle planned. You're going to need a car to get you there, but then a car to get you back to your original starting point. And so I think that there's a little bit more logistics that kind of go into it than just a normal backpacking trip where you might like walk and then come right back to the same spot.
How do you guys plan for that?
We typically like to do pack rafting trips with people, just because that's always going to help with the shuttling. If we don't have additional people or we cannot figure out a shuttle, what we'll do is a trip where you're hiking along the river and then you're just jumping into the river and floating back to the same place.
And then how do you decide where you actually go?
So we usually identify a body of water that we're interested in traversing on the boats, and then we'll work backwards from there, trying to figure out a start and an end point, the closest points we can get to with a car. And then from there, we're figuring out trails for hiking to get us to the water, things like that. And then even like more macro into that, you're looking and seeing public land boundaries, things like that, to see where you can camp, where you can't camp, and then kind of planning the route with all of those variables determined.
Is there a strategy on like how you pack your backpack and how you pack your boat?
So how you pack your backpack versus how you pack your boat are going to be pretty different. When I leave for a trip in backpack form, so before arriving at the water, everything is deconstructed. I would say that I'm in like backpacking mode. And the way that typically looks for us is all of our food is in a bag. All of our cook setup is together. We got tent, sleeping bag, dry bag with clothes. Then rolled up, we have our big dry bags. These are the ones that are going to fit inside of the walls on each side of our boat. Then we have our deconstructed paddle, our PFD, and on the PFD, we carry a knife, and that is just for the safety of being able to cut yourself out of your boat if something catastrophic happened. That's pretty important. And then the boat is rolled up on top of our bags. Then when transitioning to the water, those two really big dry bags then become home for all of that gear. So one side will typically have the camping gear and the clothes. The other side will have the food and the cook setup. And that will often have to kind of change around as you eat down your food and that side of your boat becomes light. You'll have to start moving clothes over to try to make sure you're balancing your boat. So that's going to kind of change every day, but that's going to be entirely based off of how much weight you have on each side of your boat.
What about your clothes while you're on the water? Are you wearing different clothes than you would for hiking?
Depends on water temperature, because if you are in really cold water, particularly water that you could get hypothermia in, you're going to need a dry suit of some description. I will say that we have not ventured into those waters, so to speak. I just feel like we're kind of like, I don't want to say like fair weather sailors, we just really love summer conditions on the water. And
not many people like cold water, like rafting or surfing or any of it.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
I've got some trips that I would love to do that will require a dry suit, but I think that when we are in the summer, decently warm-ish water, it's actually the exact same clothes that we are backpacking in. The only thing I was going to say is that I even go harder on the sun protection, because when you're in a boat, you're literally just sitting there exposed to the sun. So like a super broad hat. A lot of times I'll even wear gloves because you cannot wear enough sunscreen on your hands. Long sleeve, long pants, and this is actually something else that feels like kind of a weird thing. I made the mistake on going on a week-long river trip and I did not take lotion or enough lotion. When you are getting in and out of water that frequently, it does not matter the climate that you're in. It will dry your skin out so fast. Always take a little bit more lotion than you think that you need on a river trip. But 2 sets of clothes, usually a dry set, a wet set. You come off the river at the end of the day, change into your dry set of clothes and dry everything out overnight.
Yeah. If it's breezy, I think that a rain jacket is always nice too. Just like repel the water so it's not just soaking you. And if you're in white water, sometimes, you're going to get wet. And then we really love hiking sandals for footwear for that kind of stuff. Like just, it makes getting in and out so much easier.
Yeah. Our personal favorite are Bedrock sandals. They have really great Vibram soles. So you're not like slipping or anything around the water. But hiking in, you want a full support shoe just because you're carrying a lot of weight. So like any extra love you can give your feet on the way in.
Is there any other tips that you wish you'd known early?
Okay, yes. We have been recommended a book that is called the Packraft Handbook. It's an incredible resource that is everything from boat care to paddling safety, knot tying, how to dress for different types of weather, rescue scenarios. This is an incredible book. I wish we had it sooner. I just think it's really good from a safety perspective to be as knowledgeable as humanly possible before you start venturing out into the water. And this is a great resource to start with.
What's your best advice for someone trying to packraft camp for the very first time?
I would say start slow and go somewhere close and familiar. The reason for that is if you go in and you feel like you're not comfortable, you forgot something, you need to go home early, I just think that removing as much of the pressure from the scenario is always a great place to start. Or even don't necessarily go out and camp for the first time. Just go have a picnic on the other side and then assess and figure out, what can I do better next time? What can I do to make myself feel more comfortable about it? Do I need to bring someone else with me? And just slowly progress into it that way.
What are some of the most beautiful things you've seen while packraft camping?
We have floated past a mama and her calf moose just going down the river. And the thing is, because you are just kind of going with the literal flow, they see so many other animals that do that. You are not taken as a threat. They just kind of observe you. You observe them. It just feels like because you're coming on them in this very natural way, you feel like you're really participating in the environment rather than going out and conquering it. It's just a very different experience. It just feels like you are really there, just being a part of all of it.
Can you walk me through an ideal day on the water from sun up to sundown?
Oh my gosh, this is describing my perfect date. For us, usually days on the river, and this is, let's just say we've already backpacked in, the hard work is behind us. We've woken up and we're at a camp spot that's right on the water, and we slept well because you can hear the babbling river right next to our tent. Usually because you're right on the water, it's usually a very chill entrance into the day. So we'll slowly break down camp, have some coffee, hit the water. And you're kind of just like cruising your way down the river. You know, every once in a while, there'll be kind of like a little spicy feature that comes up because we enjoy some whitewater and kind of have to like navigate those features. A lot of times if we see good rocks to jump off of, we'll pull over, find a great rock to sun on and have some lunch. You can kind of be a little bit more elaborate with your food when you're pack rafting, which is fun. You can fully open your boat and pull your cook stove out and make something a little bit more elaborate. We've even fished and just cooked the fish that we caught occasionally, like right there by the water. And the days, they're so peaceful and they just kind of slip away. And it just like, I cannot even begin to fully describe the level of chill that it feels like.
Quite literally going with the flow.
Yeah, all day.
Mac and Owen sold me on pack rafting. Floating down a lazy river, occasionally encountering mild rapids for a little adrenaline rush, and stopping on little beaches to camp, it sounds so amazing. One other thing that Mac and Owen told me was that it's important to remember that water levels are variable. You can search online for recent trip reports to see what the current conditions are like and to make sure any rapids are safe for your skill level. While Mac and Owen are mostly into pack rafting, a lot of their advice is applicable to other forms of water camping. Think stand-up paddleboarding, canoeing, and even kayaking. To follow Mac and Owen's adventures, you can find them on Instagram at bound.for.nowhere or on their website at boundfornowhere.com. You can also check out their podcast called Camp Nowhere wherever you listen. Tune in next week to learn all about camping with kids. Wild Ideas Worth Living is part of the REI Podcast Network. It's hosted by me, Shelby Stanger, and produced by Annie Fassler, Sylvia Thomas, and Sam Piers-Nitzberg of Puddle Creative. Our senior producers are Jenny Barber and Hannah Boyd. Our executive producers are Paolo Motola and Joe Crosby. As always, we love it when you follow the show, take a moment to rate it, and leave a review wherever you listen. And remember, some of the best adventures happen when you follow your wildest ideas.